I, Akim Olufemi Gbajabiamila. God bless you all. We have a greater responsibility to keep the peace in our country.
In this package of House tickets, Ninth House lobs presidency for its peace promotion drive and pledges to lend support.
We've realized that the work is not done yet.
And House Committee on Oversight questions the non-utilization of sporting equipment procured 8 years ago. Welcome to another fresh package of House tickets coming your way on the NTA Parliament. In this package, lawmakers bemoan the security challenges in the country, calling for caution over divisive tendencies and inflammatory remarks attributed to public officials. Along these lines, it has called for investigations into the recent violence in southwest Nigeria. The screening of the new service chiefs, plus the investigative oversight of the House Committee on Sports to check out the utilization of high-performance equipment in the sports arena are also in our lineup on this episode. Let's meet again for the full details after this short break.
If we set our minds right, embrace each other in love and brotherhood, we will come through these troubling times. We will survive, we will recover, and then we will thrive. One nation under God, free, peaceful, and prosperous.
The House of Representatives has resolved to sit in plenary once a week within a 2-hour period. The decision has been taken as a further caution against the coronavirus spread. And so, in the week under review, the House considered several motions and bills with far-reaching resolutions. Let us get a summary report of the sitting as compiled and presented from the studio.
The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, at the start of plenary Tuesday the 16th of February 2021, condemned the Shasha violence in Oyo State, which occurred on Thursday 11th of February 2021.
And we owe a duty to the people we serve to do the things we believe sincerely in our hearts can improve the circumstances of their lives. Today, we serve that duty by calling on the Nigerian police force to conduct a speedy and thorough investigation into the recent violence in Oyo State, to allow for prosecution and punishment of those who instigated and participated in the killings and destruction of the property. The committees on police affairs and justice are mandated to communicate the House's position to the Inspector General of Police.
The House commiserated with families of victims as well as the government and people of Oyo State, after which Nigerians were assured of the House of Representatives' efforts to work within its powers to ensure such incidences do not occur again in the state and all parts of the country.
The House of Representatives aligns with this initiative, and we will constitute a working group to participate in these consultations. We will work together to examine the cultural, religious, and localized conflicts over land and history that are often at the root of internal security challenges and violent upheavals such as occurred in Oyo State last week and other parts of the country over the years. I urge all of those who have large followership of people who listen to them and respect their voices to be more circumspect about the information they share, the language they use, and the conversations they enable.
Moving on to other proceedings for the day, a motion calling for caution by public officials against being inflammatory and divisive in their public statements was raised as a matter of urgent public importance. Lawmaker Bagos Dachung brought up the motion.
In recent times, we have had governors within the country making different statements in the case of insecurity within the country. All public officials, regardless of their positions or status, are not cautioned against inciting or provoking the general public.
Silence, please. Silence, please.
The already tense situation in the country will lead to open hostilities.
The House, in its resolution on the motion, called for caution on public officials against inflammatory and divisive statements, actions and policies that can cause unrest in the country. It also resolved that the House leadership interface with the Nigerian Governors Forum, as most of these inflammatory and divisive statements are coming from Nigerian governors, so they focus on possible solution in addressing insecurity in Nigeria and not blaming each other.
Those against me say nay. Ayes have it.
Another motion of urgent public importance taken that day saw lawmaker Henry Nwauba calling on the House to investigate the disbursement of special funds for public interventions received by agencies of federal government.
Aware that some of the funds established by the federal government between 2015 and 2020 and the amounts released include the following. 1. Special Intervention MDGs 2015, 7.6 billion. Contingency, 22.4 billion. MDG Special Projects, 7.2 billion. Alleged fraudulent practices by agencies of government are sabotaging the efforts of the federal government and, if left unchecked, may lead to total collapse of the country's economy.
The only prayer of the motion is to set up an ad hoc committee to investigate the disbursement of funds received by agencies of the federal government from 2015 to 2020 with a view to ensuring that such funds were properly utilized. The House also passed 3 bills listed in the order paper for second reading, amongst which is the bill for an act to amend the Nigerian Institute of Animal Science Act of 2004 and for related matters. The bill is sponsored by the Minority Whip of the House, Gideon Gwani.
That this bill be read a second time, Mr. Speaker.
It was referred to the House Committee on Agricultural Colleges and Institutions. Another bill titled A Bill for an Act to Establish the National Power Training Institute of Nigeria by creating an enabling framework for the operation and administration of the institute and for related matters was debated at second reading. Sponsored by Representative Wale Raji.
Our rules are very clear on compendium, first of all, which was not supplied for us to know the detail. 2, a fundamental issue there is that power has been deregulated in this country. So creating an institute, my thinking, Mr. Speaker, is that this bill should be repealed.
The institute is already in existence. What this bill seeks to do is to give it legal teeth for it to operate within the confines of the law. Initially, it was created by an executive fiat. And then, with regard to the argument that the power sector has been deregulated and therefore government has no business in creating an institute, that argument does not hold water because this institute its mandate is to train middle cadre manpower for the electricity sector.
We have the National Commission for Colleges of Education that regulates and train the activities of private colleges of education in Nigeria. You have the National University Commission that regulates and equally trains the activities of private universities in Nigeria. In the oil sector, you have them. So, Mr. Speaker, I see nothing bad in establishing a training institute that will regulate or train the activities of power sector in Nigeria, more so that that institution is in existence.
We should be slimming down government. We also had in our rules the provision that we were supposed to attach financial implications. At least we used to have that. Attach financial implications to all establishment bills so that we will know what it's going to cost government. So whilst we're talking about reducing the cost of governance, we need to be mindful of the fact that establishment bills only blow up the cost of governance. So from now, please, if you are bringing an establishment bill, if you must bring an establishment bill, attach and debate the facts and figures in terms of the cost and the financial implications of establishing such an institute.
The bill has been referred to the House Committee on Power for more scrutiny. On motions from the other paper, the House adopted that sponsored by the Deputy Chief Whip of the House, lawmaker Nkiruka Onyeji-Ocha, and Representative Benjamin Kalu, titled "Need to Address the Worsening Security Situation in Isikwato and Umuneochi Federal Constituency of Abia State."
That there has not been a single day in the last 5 months that there were no reported cases of abduction, robberies, theft, and some form of criminality in and around the 2 local government areas, including the local government. And those criminal elements are so audacious that they operate in broad daylight and nighttime, mostly without hindrance from security operatives. Victims of those murderous gangs range from poor peasant farmers, old and young people, travelers, traditional and political leaders, among others.
There was no further debate on the motion. The House adopted the prayers to urge the Inspector General of Police to prioritize the security of those local government areas and arrest the criminals terrorizing the constituency. Also urge the various security agencies to collaborate for the purpose of ensuring a safe and conducive environment. And lastly, the Committee on Police Affairs is to ensure compliance of the resolutions reached on the motion. The other motion adopted from the other paper is titled "Need for the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to review upwards the number of state constituencies in Oyo State." The motion is sponsored by lawmaker Muraina Ajibola and 13 others.
INEC shall review the division of every state into constituencies.
Chief Whip, can they stay? Can they stay? No. Okay.
They should step down. Step down.
Into constituencies at intervals of not less than 10 years, and may alter such constituencies under the provisions of this constitution to such extent as it may consider desirable in the light of the review. Oyo State currently has 32 state constituencies and 14 federal constituencies.
The following prayers of the motion were adopted. Urge INEC to commence the process of reviewing upwards the number of state constituencies in Oyo State by creating additional 8 state constituencies to comply with the provisions of sections 112 to 114 of the 1999 Constitution. Mandate the Committee on Electoral Matters to ensure compliance and report back to the House within 6 weeks for further legislative action. Meanwhile, lawmaker Suleiman Lere was sworn in after a victorious outing at the Electoral Tribunal. Representative Lere is in the 9th House under the All Progressives Congress Party (APC) from Lere Federal Constituency of Kaduna State. The House also announced the change of party for lawmaker Blessing Onu of Otukpo and Ohimini Federal Constituency of Benue State. She moved from the All Progressive Grand Alliance (APGA) to the All Progressives Congress (APC). Representative Yakubu Shehu Abdullahi also moved from the People's Redemption Party (PRP) to APC. He represents Bauchi Federal Constituency of Bauchi State in the 9th House.
Thanks for staying tuned to House Ticket. We just took plenary reports for the week, which held on Tuesday, 16th of February 2021. Away from chamber reports to committee activities, the special committee constituted on Wednesday, the 10th of February 2021 to screen the service chiefs designate as forwarded to the House by the Presidency met with the appointees on Wednesday, the 17th of February 2021. The committee is led by the Chairman, House Committee on Defense, Lawmaker Babajimi Benson. At the opening of the event, the chairman of the committee said that the House of Plenary had discussed motions up to 200 times on national security, but nothing much has changed as the nation still grapples with diverse and increasing crime rates despite successes recorded by the armed forces. Expectations, therefore, are high on the new service chiefs to be the game changers.
Nigeria as a country is blessed with brave and gallant soldiers, many of whom have paid the supreme price in service to the country. It is to their memories that we must get it right with our national security and help secure the peace for which they lost their lives. While I appreciate that there is no single magic solution, I believe the kind of leadership provided to our armed forces is part of the solution mix. Working with the executive, the House of Representatives intends to ensure that the government lives up to this noble creed. This is why we plan to engage robustly, but also constructively with the nominees, and if confirmed, provide them with the support they need to succeed.
Present at the screening exercise was the Minister of Defense, who in a brief remark assured Nigerians that the service chiefs are fully aware of the mandates and expectations of them from the general populace. The committee gave each nominee the opportunity to introduce himself, stating their vision, focus and intention towards achieving the mandates of their designated offices.
I'd like to indicate that if I am confirmed, my intention is to foster a professional armed force that is capable of meeting effectively the imperatives of the Constitution. And now, by so doing, I intend that I have some pillars that are allied to this broad focus of leadership. Whereas it might not come out as a vision, because I believe that visions are meant for institutions and not for individuals. But of course, as a military commander, I intend to have a leadership focus and philosophy and outlining the broad areas. And to this, I intend to see a very professional armed forces, an armed forces that is effective, an armed forces that is agile, an armed forces that is result-oriented, and of course, that is loyal to constituted authority.
I want a Nigerian army that is repositioned to professionally defeat all adversaries in a joint environment. Emphasis will be particularly on whole-of-government approach and whole-of-society approach, where each and every Nigerian will be part of the security architecture to bring an end to our current problems. The vision is undergirded within the command philosophy on specific pillars: readiness, duty to country, dependability, and continuous leadership development. For particular emphasis, readiness will entail mission readiness, training, functional manning and equipment. Duty to country, we'll talk about loyalty and sacrifice to the fatherland. Dependability will be on the Nigerian Army capacity and capability to accomplish mission. And continuous leadership development will be an army that will be innovative. We have innovative leadership into the 21st century.
If confirmed as the Chief of the Naval Staff, I intend, as my vision, to leverage on all factors of national location, technology, training, teamwork, and synergy to re-energize the Nigerian Navy and enhance her as a well-motivated and ready naval force in the discharge of her constitutional mandate and other tasks in fulfillment of national security objectives.
The mission of the Nigerian Air Force is to ensure the integrity of airspace by gaining and maintaining control of the air while retaining a credible capability to fulfill other air power tasks demanded by national defense and security imperatives. From this mission of the Nigerian Air Force, I have carved out my focus to enhance and sustain critical air power capability required for joint force employment in pursuit of national security imperatives. And I have the key drivers for this vision. I will be focusing on doctrinal development and application of air power in joint military operation. I will pursue purposeful training and human capacity development. I will also ensure that I sustain platforms and equipment serviceability through innovative maintenance method and logistics support system. Of course, we are going to foster a disciplined workforce essential for combat readiness and also booster morale for improving personal welfare.
Lawmakers during the screening exercise grilled the officers in the following areas: professional skill and experience, Nigeria's war on terror, insurgency and insecurity in general, funding of the military and strategic security knowledge, welfare of military personnel, as well as vision of the nominees on the task ahead of them. The technical exercise commenced behind closed doors due to the sensitivity of matters on national security. The committee is to compile its notes after the exercise and submit its recommendations at plenary this week. Another committee activity comes from lawmaker Olumide Oshoba-led Committee on Sports, where the representatives took on government agencies on their given mandate. During a recent trip to the Moshood Abiola National Stadium in Abuja, the lawmakers questioned the non-utilization of sporting equipment procured as far back as 2013. The oversight function and interactions with the stakeholders on the other side spanned over a period of 2 weeks. The details.
We have an inventory list, Oga. What one is this? Let us know which one is this. You don't even know what you get.
This is Olympic inclined bench.
The Honorable Olumide Oshoba-led Committee on Sports there, on an oversight function, inspecting the procured high-performance sporting equipment at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium in Abuja. The committee demanded for more explanations from the storekeeper, who took the lawmakers on a tour of the equipment procured.
So they supplied the equipment and you didn't take inventory until when they brought enough.
When they see this SRV cannot be written in pieces. It has to be written en block. It was when they bring everything at once, they will now start writing.
So how do you
SRV.
document that? How do they have a document that shows that they've supplied anything for 4 years? If they
Yes, that's where we are storekeeper. We have our indent where we put everything as they are bringing them.
Okay, so we need that. The member needs that. Okay. The members need that. You can't just give us something because you told us these things were supplied in 2013.
Yes.
And the document here is showing 2017 for us.
I think you were the storekeeper in 2013.
Yes.
And you were being transferred to other places. And the other equipment came in bulk.
How do you hand over?
How do you hand over? What happened to the one you kept that has no records?
There must be record. As they are bringing it, they are bringing it with their invoice and delivery notes.
So your SRV is one that you.
It is only one SRV
and
that
that
will now
SRV was
accommodate
written in
them.
2017.
Yes.
That you received properly in 2017.
Yes. You will discover that even the SRV you are seeing has the folio number where we put everything in ledger. We didn't just collect. We collected and kept them aside with their name inscribed on them. So as soon as they come back that, okay, at this time I cannot do it again, we now raise SRV.
This is the decline bench, 1. Adjustable incline bench, 5.
Yes.
Where are the 5?
Just one at the other side where we first opened.
We didn't see something like this.
Do you convince the committee that the document we are seeing here, the original documents? How do you convince the committee?
Okay.
The document or I mean, all these items we are seeing here, the original ones.
No, you see, when it comes to issue of document, when a contractor is bringing item of this nature, they will be bringing it with their own document. It is their document you will now endorse, their own way bill. Initially, the way bill will just be okay. Let me just carry this on. We have supplied.
The committee made a resolution regarding the inventory of items purchased.
Storekeeper.
Sir?
What you help the committee do, those documents that were shown when they were supplying in bits and pieces, you will make it available. The committee is going to delegate 3 or 4 members that will now come back and come and do a proper stock keeping with you. You will be on the committee that will come back. They will provide all the way bills and all the inventory list they were supplying in bits and pieces. You will be on it.
The lawmakers lamented the non-utilization of the items purchased as they had spent 8 years without use.
You know, every year auditor do come.
Yes.
To audit whatever you receive.
Yes.
And whatever you took out or whatever you give out.
Yes.
During that period, that 8 years, interregnum, that you kept this thing before writing this SRV.
That's right.
What were you telling the auditors?
Initially, when they brought them, and there was no kind of directive as to raise this, we were looking at them. And it was like, okay, the contractor that were not paid, how ahead can we start using the item? I think it was a kind of discussion between the director and the management, that is the PSD.
So what we are telling the auditor is that this equipment was supplied but not yet paid for, so
yes.
you cannot receive it officially.
We will not be able to raise this document. It was when we raised this document and auditor
now becomes
the
property
ability of government. It was when we now raise this one now. When auditor comes, they want to see all this.
Yes, definitely.
That's how we are now pointing at it, because you see it as a document. It was after we discovered that, okay, directive, okay, raise this. Now we can now commit government on how to pay.
Okay, we understand that when the current minister came on board, he told you people to go and set up some of these equipments that have been left moribund. Yes, sir. So, why was this singular dual adjustable pulley not set up?
Space. You go with us, sir, to the place. Space. If we get space to do
the language accident, they said they don't want accident, otherwise
space.
It will be much possible for them.
In fact, when you get to the place, I find that we don't have
the place is not just.
The committee noticed a variation in cost of same items as well as models of the equipment purchased. In that regard, the lawmakers resolved to check for the prices of the machines online as at time of purchase, that is in 2013, to compare with the variations in models of the same items procured. Meanwhile, in an earlier meeting with the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development on the 9th of February 2021, the committee held interactions with officials there over the High Performance Center meant to have a number of equipment for athletes for their rehabilitation and body works. The discussions with the ministry alongside committee findings during this oversight visit were summarized by the chairman of the committee at the end of the exercise.
We've realized that the work is not done yet. They were stored in a place where there's not enough access. So we're going to continue. Committee members are going to come back when they're going to be able to put those items out of the store, and will now be able to do a proper inventory.
Okay, can you say you are not impressed with what you've seen so far?
Well, our job is not complete. So when we complete our job is when we would have a valid description of what we feel is going on here.
But what about the appearance that was supposed to happen today? Do you have anyone in the future of them coming to the National Assembly?
Definitely, they are coming to the National Assembly. After the proper, complete inventory of those equipments are done, they'll be back to the National Assembly to discuss the situation with these high-performance equipments.
Many thanks for staying tuned to House Ticket. Here's hoping you've been enlightened on the role of the legislature. I'll see you again next time on the program. Please remember to send in your questions and comments for your representatives through our feedback channels showing on your screen. We'll do our best to get answers and reactions on your questions and comments from our representatives. Stay safe and bye for now.